Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Friday, June the 21st. We got a 14-game slate for Friday night, a really good pitching slate. There's a lot of guys at the top that we're going to have a lot of interest in. Chris Sale against the Blue Jays, Trevor Bauer against the Tigers, Walker Buehler against the Rockies, outside of Coors Field, even Steven Strasburg going on this slate. And then the mid-range options are pretty loaded. A guy that really stands out in the mid-range, Aaron Nola at home against the Marlins. Going to be someone we have to talk about. Mike Leake's overpriced, but he's in a really good spot at home against the Orioles. He'll be somebody we can talk about. And then when you get for the value, there's some cheap plays I like as well. Taylor Clark against the Giants, I think, makes some sense. Tanner Anderson against the Rays, not the worst value play. Eric Lauer at 6,100 against the Pirates. Joe Musgrove at 5,500 against the Padres, I think is going to be one of the best cheap pitchers to target today. So there's a lot of ways you can go on this slate. For me, looking at pitching, we'll start off at pitching. Just before we do get started, guys, definitely would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. For pitching today, I think the way I'm going to be going is paying up for one of these studs and then going to one of those cheap guys that I mentioned. Right now, my favorite stud to pay up for is Trevor Bauer. Pitching at home against the Tigers, 11,100. On DraftKings, he is 900 less than Chris Sale. On Yahoo, Bauer is $7 less than Chris Sale. I like the savings you get going down from Sale to Bauer. I think Trevor Bauer could easily outscore Chris Sale today. It's such a good matchup for him. In his last start against the Tigers, he pitched a complete game, only allowed 4 hits, got 8 strikeouts, got the win, 42 DraftKings points in his last start against the Tigers. Bauer looked really good in that start. He's always a guy that we know is going to pitch deep into games. You look at the pitch count just throughout the year, over 100 pitches in pretty much almost every start. The only starts where he didn't go 100 pitches was because he was just getting absolutely torn up. But in a start against the Tigers, I expect him to pitch very deep into the game. He's probably going to go at least 7-8 innings, might even have a chance at another complete game. I really like the spot a lot for Trevor Bauer. Obviously, Chris Sale is a great play as well at home against the Blue Jays. Sale could rack up a ton of strikeouts in this matchup. Chris Sale obviously has a ton of upside as well. But I do feel a little bit safer going to Trevor Bauer. I think Bauer just has so much upside in his matchup and could easily outscore Chris Sale. And the fact that he's cheaper, almost $1,000 cheaper on DraftKings, makes me have a lot of interest in him. Walker Buehler, Steven Strasburg, 2 pitchers I do like to target, but not on this slate. They're just so far behind Trevor Bauer and Chris Sale for me. And if I'm paying up to the top, I'm going to be going to Sale or Bauer. Buehler would probably be my third option, but he's going to be definitely like a secondary play. Don't expect to get much of him. Steven Strasburg against the Braves, it's just not a matchup I want to target. The Braves are really good. Strasburg's really good as well, but the Braves don't strike out. They're going to put the ball in play. I just don't think Strasburg gives you the upside here to even come close to what Bauer or Sale could put up in their matchup. So for the top of the pitcher player pool, Sale and Bauer are definitely the 2 guys I'm going to be going to the most. And then in this mid-range, I think there's a clear play here, Aaron Nola. If you're not paying up to the top guys, or even if you're really wanting to spend at pitcher and go with Trevor Bauer and Aaron Nola together, I think that makes a lot of sense. Aaron Nola on DraftKings is just way too cheap at $8K. At home against the Marlins, I know Aaron Nola has not been good lately. He's been very inconsistent, but this is just such a good spot for Nola. He's pitching at home as well, where I believe throughout his career, Aaron Nola has always pitched much better at home than on the road. When he did face the Marlins earlier this year, he didn't have that great of a start. Just 15 DraftKings points through 6 2/3 innings, allowed 7 hits, 1 run, only got 4 strikeouts. I would expect a much better performance from Aaron Nola. It's going to be a Marlins lineup, or a right-handed heavy Marlins lineup. Only projected lefties in the lineup are Curtis Granderson and JT Riddle. Nola is much better versus righties than lefties, and like I said, there's only 2 lefties in the projected lineup, so really good spot for Aaron Nola. He's $8K on DraftKings. He's a great SP1 option or even a great SP2 option if you're really trying to spend a pitcher. If you do want to play Nola and Bauer together, you're left with $3,800 remaining per player, which if you find a cheap stack you like, you could definitely do that. Wouldn't mind going there at all, but there are some cheap guys I want to target, very cheap. Once we get down to 7K and below, there was a couple guys I mentioned, Taylor Clark, Tanner Anderson, Eric Lauer, some of the guys you could consider, but my favorite play down here is Joe Musgrove at home, 5,500 against the Padres. So I think Musgrove is one of the top value pitchers on the slate. I think he just gives you too much upside to be priced at 5,500. This is a Padres lineup that's going to be very right-handed heavy. Only lefties in the lineup, at least in the projected lineup, are Eric Hosmer and Greg Garcia. Musgrove much better against righties than lefties, and this is a Padres lineup that will strike out versus right-handed pitching. And Musgrove does get more strikeouts versus righties than he does to lefties. Plus, it's a great pitcher's park, pitching in the Pirate Stadium, PNC Park, a very favorable pitcher's park. Low total, pretty good pitching weather. Just a really good spot for Joe Musgrove. They're going to be pitching in the National League, so he'll be able to face the opposing pitcher, which is pretty much a free strikeout. I like Musgrove a lot here. He's had some tough matchups lately, no doubt. Having to face the Braves twice in Atlanta. I know the one start he got ejected, but the start after that really struggled. Got to pitch against them at home and did pretty well. Musgrove's definitely been up and down this year, but like I said, you look at the game log, he's had some really tough matchups. When he did face the Padres earlier this year, he put up 17.3 DraftKings points, 6 in the third inning, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, got 4 strikeouts, and got the win, 17 DK points. Even if Musgrove gets you 17 DK points, that's great value at his price tag. So, love going to Musgrove on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's at $34. He's not as good of a value, but I still like him a lot. There are other guys you could probably go to from a little bit more. Like if you could find the $4, I guess you could try and get up to a guy like Mike Leake or even Herman Marquez. If you can get all the way up to Nola, I would like to do that. Nola's at 46, but I do like some of the expensive bats today, so I'm going to try and save at SP2 if I can. That's why I'll be rolling with Musgrove as my SP2 today. Going to have a ton of Musgrove. If he kills me, he kills me, but I feel like the upside's there and the price tag is just so low. But now let's talk about some hitters. I think I've pretty much covered all the pitchers that I'm going to be playing today. So for bats, there's one game I do want to target that really stands out to me. This Rangers and White Sox game I love here. I love both sides. 6.3 implied run total for the Rangers versus Ronaldo Lopez. 5.3 implied run total for the White Sox versus Ariel Gerardo. It's going to be 93 degrees in Texas. It's going to be very humid. This is great hitting weather. It's a great hitter's park as well. I want to start off with the Rangers side. I love a lot of the lefties here versus Ronaldo Lopez, but you can definitely target righties against him as well. He's been giving up home runs to both sides of the plate. But the guy I want to start off with on DraftKings is Sin-Soo Choo. He's $5K. He's very expensive. I don't expect him to get much ownership today because if you just look at the other expensive outfielders you have, like you have Mookie Betts at the same price, people are most likely going to play Mookie, JD, maybe even like Yelich, Trout are going to get more ownership. I don't think Choo's going to be that popular today. I love spinning up for him at 5K, especially if he's going to be a contrarian option. This is still a guy that has a ton of power. He's a great hitter, makes contact, doesn't strike out much. Lopez is a guy that can get Ks, but there's some tough outs in this Rangers lineup, like the top of the lineup with Choo, Mazzara, Calhoun, Asdrubal Cabrera. Those guys aren't going to strike out much versus righties. And Elvis Andrus doesn't strike out much versus righties. DeShields will K a lot, but once you get past him, there's not a ton of Ks in this lineup, at least in the middle part and the top part of the lineup. They just have such a high total, it's hard to ignore the Rangers here versus Lopez. Lopez is a guy that I've played at times this year, but this is just such a tough spot for him. Having to go into Texas, into this heat to face this pretty good Rangers team. I love going to the Rangers bats. Really like Choo at 5K. Also really like Nomar Mazzara at 4,300. He's definitely going to be a guy that I go to quite a bit on DraftKings as well. He just feels way underpriced for a team with a 6.3 implied run total. Mazzara should be closer to 5K. I know he hasn't been hitting the ball that well this year, and especially as of late, but still a guy that has a lot of power, 9 home runs on the year, can steal bases as well. If he gets on base, he'll run at times. He does have 3 stolen bases on the year. Sin-Soo Choo also can steal bases as well. So love Choo and Mazzara. Going to be 2 guys I go to quite a bit. And then one guy that I like on both sides is Yoan Moncada. I'm going to be trying to spend up at third base to get to Moncada as much as I can on this slate. Love this spot for him versus Ariel Gerardo. He is $18 on Yahoo at third base. Going to be a top play for me over there. So just like I like the Rangers in this game, I do like going to these White Sox bats as well. Ariel Gerardo been much better as of late than as we saw to start the year, but in his last start, I believe it was against the Reds, just got absolutely torn up, gave up 7 runs, 9 hits, and a home run through 3 innings, negative 13 DK points. Pitched pretty well against Boston, against Baltimore, and against KC. He's been able to limit the damage, hasn't really gotten blown up, but this is a tough spot for him, facing a good White Sox team that has power. There are strikeouts in the White Sox lineup, but a lot of power with Abreu, Moncada. Eloy Jimenez has a ton of power. Even Tim Anderson has power. Just a lot of tough outs in this White Sox lineup. And although there are some strikeouts, these guys still have so much power that I think this is a tough spot for Ariel Gerardo. He's been giving up a lot of homers to righties this year, but still a guy that I think we can target with lefties as well, especially a hitter like Yoan Moncada, who has a ton of power, 12 home runs on the year, also has a ton of speed, 5 stolen bases. If he will steal if he gets on base, if he has the chance. So I'm going to be spinning up for Moncada a ton, especially on lineups where I have White Sox stacks. He's going to be a top priority for me. Then over on Yahoo to fill out my 5, I'm definitely going to go back to this game, but I'm going to look for some more cheaper plays. Like Chu is 23 and Mazara is 19. I think if you're stacking Texas, you definitely want to consider those two guys, but looking for mini stacks, I really like going to some of these cheaper bats. Like Willie Calhoun at $15, I think makes a lot of sense. Lurie Garcia leading off at $12, I really like as well. If Danny Santana cracks the lineup, I think at $12, he is a guy that you can definitely roster. He has a ton of power. Just going to be going to as much as I can from this game. So I like Calhoun here, still a guy that has a lot of power. Facing Ronaldo Lopez, who will give up home runs. I think Calhoun has a little bit of speed, although he hasn't stolen any bases this year. I think he will run if he gets on base. So I like Willie Calhoun quite a bit. Garcia, not a guy that has as much power, but leading off with a lot of speed. Can hit the ball into the gap, can turn a double into a triple. And Gerardo will give up home runs. Not sure how good he is at holding runners. Guess that's something I'll have to look into. But I know Garcia, Moncada, both of those guys have speed and will steal bases if they get on. 5 home runs on the year for Lurie Garcia, so not the greatest power hitter, but if you leave one over the plate, he can definitely take it out, especially in this ballpark with this heat. The ball should really be flying, so just going to be going to this game a ton. I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of lineups where I have just like full game stacks of this game, ton of hitters on both sides. But I think that's it for my bats today. Let's talk about some stacks now. So obviously this game, Rangers, White Sox, I love. Rangers my number 1 stack, White Sox my number 2 stack. Going to be going to those teams a ton. But some of the other high totals, other teams we could target for stacks, Red Sox versus Trent Thornton, 5.6 implied run total. You can definitely look there. I'm sure I'm going to have some exposure to the Red Sox. Some Yankees versus Brad Peacock I think makes sense. The Yankees are just such a dangerous lineup. Even though Peacock's a pretty good pitcher, the Yankees just have so much power in this lineup. Even the Astros hitters I wouldn't mind targeting, especially because they got priced down for the matchup with Paxton. Paxton has shown this year that he can get blown up. And Jose Altuve at $3,800 looks like a great value. Alex Bregman at $4,700 I like quite a bit. I doubt I'm going to be full stacking the Astros, but I'm sure I'm going to have some two-man stacks of like Bregman and Altuve because of how underpriced they are, especially Altuve, like under $4K for Jose Altuve versus a lefty, especially in Yankee Stadium. That really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to be going to some Astros mini stacks quite a bit. But then some of the other teams we could look to, don't say any at the top I like. Maybe some D-backs. I think Jeff Samardzija is going to be starting, and they have a 5.4 implied run total. So you could look there, but I'm going to be all over this Texas and White Sox game. Those two teams are going to be the teams that I load up on the most. And then I'll mix in some Red Sox. I'll mix in some Yankees, some mini stacks of the Astros. I wouldn't mind, like the guys at the top of the lineup. But let's go ahead and talk about some BVP now real quick before we end the video. So there are quite a bit of BVP plays today. I'm just going to cover the ones that really catch my eye, that really stand out. So Freddie Freeman gone 17 for 50 with 4 home runs off Steven Strasburg. Jose Altuve, here's some BVP with Altuve, 9 for 28 with 2 home runs off of James Paxton. Francisco Lindor, 9 for 22, 2 home runs off Matthew Boyd. Miguel Cabrera, 11 for 32 with the home run off Trevor Bauer. Randall Grichuk, 4 for 10 with the home run off Chris Sale. Jonathan Lucroy, 5 for 14 with the home run off Michael Wacha. And then down here at the bottom, Jock Peterson gone 4 for 13 with 2 home runs off Herman Marquez. So those are all the BVP plays that I got for today, guys. I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you click that like button down below, and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GO if you do have any questions. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.